Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right, folks. It's beautiful. Sometimes I just have to take a moment and partake not only in the beauty of the day, but in the beauty of our progress thus far in humanity's ascension path, right? Into higher consciousness. An important aspect of that path that we must walk collectively and individually, of course, is the disclosure movement and disclosure with a capital D, right? This is where the big secrets are fitting to come out, huh? So we've already seen that process begin. I just want to give you a sleeve pull or heads up, better way to put it. A heads up that before the end of this year, potentially before the end of the summer, there's going to be something that's going to happen to truly catapult disclosure with a capital D forward immensely. I don't want to get too specific on what it will be, but it will be something that not only sheds direct light on this UFO, UAP discussion, as well as the otherworldly beings described as extraterrestrial or extra dimensional. Importantly, or maybe even more importantly than that, well, I don't know if it's more importantly, but equally as important, there will be clarification on an insight, real insight, into the connection between that whole discussion and what has been happening with humanity, right? And what I mean by that is all of the influences that steered humanity into and through the old paradigm of misery, pain, hate, suffering, all the recipe ingredients for producing that loose energy, right? Which I already have enlightened on many videos, or at least talked about on many videos. Many of you are already aware of what loose energy is. But it's that low vibrational frequency product, energetic product of the misery, suffering, pain, hate, all the low vibrational frequencies of humanity. So there's going to be a lot of light shed on how the socially economic elite cabal of globalists and depopulationists have steered that paradigm, why they've steered it, why they have specifically continued to create conditions that would feed that mixture or that recipe for creating loose energy, or rather a paradigm with institutions that touch our everyday lives and are in fact designed to fill that recipe for producing that loose energy. Why would the cabal be so interested in that? To feed their masters, those who they've referred to as their hidden masters, right? The beings and energies, the entities that in fact feed off of those loose energies, right? Or not commonly referred to, but referred to by the Gnostics as the archons, right? There's going to be true revelation on all of that. The skirt's fitting to get pulled up, folks. All will be exposed. Excuse my metaphor, but it's going to be that drastic, right? And it's time for it. Because on certain issues, or rather in general, there are certain levels of, how should I put this? Certain levels, I don't want to be offensive, certain levels of naivete that segments of the human population still exist in this bubble of reality that is very unaware of what goes on around them or what is even shaping their perception, right, of existence. Or better yet, what is putting them, and this is probably most important, what has put most of us for most of our lives and for so long, lifetimes, in fact, of course, generations upon generations, even century and millennia, this paradigm has persisted. And that what keeps most of us thinking in a box that supports that paradigm, all of that is going to be coming to light, right? Again, can't give you specifics like an event or date or anything like that. And really, people, in my opinion, shouldn't do that anyway. There are far too many potentials out there for anybody to be proclaiming, this is my prediction for the future. The future, there is no one future. There is no one set future. The future is determined by the decisions and the energetic path that we take. A path along the highway of the Akash, where all the potentials exist and where we have an opportunity to make decisions and choices that shape that. After all, it is our projections into the quantum field that reverberate back as our reality. So, of course, our decisions, our choices are paramount in developing that, right? The old paradigm was designed to create a worldwide society, right? What do you mean a worldwide society, Big King? A worldwide society of fear, an atmosphere of fear, one of shortened thinking, attention span, and a real one that fostered a follower's mentality, right? One that always adhered to what the socially economic elite cabal of globalists and depopulationists prescribed as how to think and what to think about. See, folks, the way that the cabal, the most important tool of the cabal in steering the world has always been control of the flow of information. Their panic has arisen due to lack of that control. They no longer hold that control in what is the information age, right? And I don't have to tell y'all that. This day and age, y'all, is just too hard to keep a secret. Well, if you're a secret society, that's kind of bad news for you, isn't it? Think about that. In this day and age, where it's almost impossible to keep a secret, If you are someone, something, some group, some society, some organization, some structure dependent on secrecy, the information age is one you likely will not make it out of, right? Because the information age provides an opportunity for the masses to gain awareness of all of that, right? So, as we surge powerfully forward as a species into higher consciousness, yes, it does incredibly, unfathomably powerfully so, weigh upon the elites as they literally watch. They have no choice but to literally just watch as their paradigm, which is already shattered and began to crumble like giant shards of glass, is now just a mess on the floor. Huh? When you gotta go, when you drop that glass, when you knock that mirror over, you got all that glass on the floor, you just got a little mess to clean up. And then you can start new. Put a new mirror up for humanity to reflect upon. Huh? A new mirror reflecting the species that spiritually matured through its own crucible. Huh? What do you mean by that, Big King Sadiq? I mean that all that we suffered through in the old paradigm that fostered misery, pain, and hate, all that we suffered through, where we were taught to be separate, where we were taught that one person's better than the other, or one group better than the other, or one group lower or lesser than the other, or one person lower and lesser than the other. All these artificial lines of separation, all this division, where we were given layers upon layers of indoctrination to support all of that stuff, all of the wars, human beings slaughtered for senseless reasons that through propaganda and indoctrination, the nations were led to believe it was necessary. Folks, none of it was ever necessary. You don't solve a problem through war. You only prove who is more effective, efficient, and cold-hearted at killing other human beings and exerting their will in some form of dominance over another. There are many upon the planet who have been taught that dominance is a sign of strength. Dominance is quite the opposite when you think from a point of spiritual maturation. Dominance is one of the greatest signs of weakness, of spiritual immaturity, because dominance shows your need. What do you mean, Big King? You can't dominate another if there's not another to dominate, which means you are reliant on there being another, on there being subjects or someone who you can make subservient to you. You are, in fact, reliant upon someone else's existence to serve a role that you are reliant upon. You are reliant upon something external, meaning that you don't have it all in you. That's a deficiency that comes irresistibly, undeniably, and in the form of an unquenchable thirst when you don't have self-awareness as one of the Creator's divine expressions, and when there's obstacles interceding or impeding your path of connection with the divine source. Because when you have that connection, right? When you have that direct relationship, not with a middleman or an intercessor or anything external, but when you have that internal direct connection with the creative source, you don't need anything else. You don't need anyone else. You are not addicted to anything else external. You have it all internally. So there is no need, there's no thirst to dominate anything or anyone. You are quite satisfied in yourself. And you know that you are a divine expression of your creator's energy. So when you see another expression of our creator's energy, another person, another place, thing, even the animals, folks, this is all our creator's energy. There is nothing that exists outside of our creator. And when you see these things and you have gotten to a point of spiritual maturation where you do not need to rely on anything external, because you are fuel, you're power. You know those commercials where they say powered by, and then they name some company. Folks, when you get to that certain level of spiritual maturation, you are powered by the creator. And you just don't need anything beyond that. That's as plain as I can say it. You are whole, complete, and satisfied internally without a need for anything external. And you certainly don't need to dominate another, especially not another creation, another expression of our creator's energy. In fact, when you see another person, when you see another expression of our creator's energy, you feel a reason to celebrate. Man, my creator decided to express itself like that. Just like she decided to express itself like me. Folks, that is why these religions shrink your perception of self and your perception of the creator and your connection to the creator. You're not born dirty. You're not born filthy in any way. You're not born a sinner. You were born magnificent. And the only thing that taints you is this societal structure that the socially economic elite cabal of globalists and depopulationists have constructed that we have lived under for millennia. All of this is becoming exposed, and there will be something that will make it plain and clear to many, but undeniable to all very soon. Just giving you a little sleeve pull. We're surging powerfully forward in this beautiful new paradigm, one that fosters higher consciousness. Dare I say, a paradigm of peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq, I'm out.